Good morning, everyone. Apologies on the somewhat slight inconvenient delay. I had a bit of a bumpy patch when it came to viewing yesterday's episode, I believe it would be called. I'm afraid that my reviews are at risk of being pushed back further from being posted during the afternoon or even on a day later like today, but I will do my best to crunch these out, but there are no guarantees. Hello everyone, if in case you don't know me, my name is Hallimar, and today I'll be reviewing Snowpiercer's latest episode, Many Miles from Snowpiercer. Now, despite what the title might suggest that this episode was in no way about Miles, I was definitely fooled by this, mostly because I don't pay attention to the teaser text or the literal teaser at the end of every episode. I know I said that Keep Hope Alive was good, but believe me, it really was, but Many Miles from Snowpiercer is even better. Sure, it lacked incredibly tense scenes compared to its predecessor, but it made for it in what I love the most: lore. Since this episode was mostly about brushing up on events we've already experienced from another angle, a lot of its focus was shifted towards the many flashbacks that riddled Many Miles from Snowpiercer. I found all of it very educational, for lack of a better word. I relished every second of the flashbacks, to be honest, and I loved how it showed Wilfred slowly seeping his way into the soul of Snowpiercer and how a shared project slowly became his project, his train. I like seeing how Wilfred truly didn't care for anything unless he was in control of it, going as far as denying essential scientists in favor of jackpoots even when his security had already probably taken casualties that would offset the extra passengers. He still ordered their families and themselves to be executed, which in and of itself is incredibly messed up. However, this miniature tale was overshadowed by the retelling of the night of departure. It was great. I loved how straining it was for Melanie and Bennett and everyone involved to deal with Wilfred's insensitivity, and I enjoyed it greatly when the engineers made the decision to leave Wilfred behind. My initial expectation was that Wilfred was going to be literally thrown from the engine, thrown from the train, but when I saw that he had his own personal jackpoot protecting him, it was clearly not going to be that easy. However, everything fell into place when Bennett gave Melanie the opportunity to start moving the train after he lied to Wilfred about how much time they had to get rolling. One thing I noticed about the whole scene in general was that everything was far crisper and more colorful. And I know this isn't because I have a higher quality streaming device, because I know for a fact that the train and everything else was a lot bluer in the original, in episode 1, than it is now. Like, the train is a lot more silver, looks a lot more metallic, and it would seem that the showrunners performed a few touch-ups to make the CGI in the intro a bit more convincing than it already was, while making the train far prettier than it already was by changing its tinge hue to a silvery tone. The episode still would have been good without the flashbacks, but I feel like they're really what carried it out the most. Outside of the flashbacks, the highlights of the episode were definitely Melanie's one-sided conversations and banter between her and Wilfred, while also consoling herself with hallucinations of Leighton and Alexandra. There's not much to say about it, but having them there to show what Melanie thought about them and about her situation as like a mirror instead of acting like narration, it allows the characters to narrate her thoughts for her in a way. It added a much-needed splash of color to the episode and made it a bit less bland. The ending was about as perfect as you can get for a show as bleak as Snowpiercer. I think it was a great cliffhanger to see the two engines zip by, flames flying from the wheels, and alarms visibly going off from within Big Alice's engine. I suspect this has something to do with Wilfred, but either way, something has definitely gone wrong, and I cannot wait to see what happens in the next episode next week. Finally, I think a review is going to be short, and it actually turned out to be short. I love this episode. It's definitely dethroned Keep Hope Alive without even it being in power for a week. I really am just a sucker for lore, especially under these circumstances in a post-apocalyptic situation, so I think it's going to be pretty hard to top it. However, there are 4 more episodes to the season, unless my dream last night was true and I was just living a normal day, and there were 6 episodes left, but I'm pretty sure there's only 4. But I feel like the biggest chance is going to be the last 2, because the last 2 in the first season were the greatest, and so I suspect that might be the case for this one. Whether you like the episode or not, I think we can all say it's good to see our beloved head engineer again. Melanie's been gone for far too long, leaving us alone on the fated hope of Snowpiercer. Let's just hope their mission succeeds before Mr. Wilford or one of his other lackeys ruins it all. My one complaint is that Melanie really did combat the bitter cold a bit too easily. After all, CW7 is supposed to be a world-ending chemical that would freeze all life in place within seconds. Suspension of belief does work in this episode, so it's not that big of a problem. But I do really think the world felt more like a negative 57 centigrade Antarctica rather than negative 122 centigrade. But that's just me. Whatever you think, tell me down in the comments below, and be sure to consider subscribing if you're interested in more of my Snowpiercer content. But that's all I